Hey there, it's Herb, and today we're talking about expired prospecting. So this is a recording of one of our APG Agent Power Group mastermind sessions that we do every week, Thursday, 9:15 a.m. I hope you enjoy this. If you have any questions, let me know. All right, here's a link to Google Docs. What I did is I compiled all kinds of expired scripts out there for us to talk about, for you to look at. And now, big question. How many people are doing right now or in the last month calling expireds? Okay,
Calling.
Texting.
one sort of, and texting. Okay, that's interesting. All right. I'm excited to hear from you guys, like what works for you guys on this, or what's been your success on it?
I listed a few expireds. I have a listing appointment today for an expired. So that's fun. But what I send out too, that I personally send out through my personal work phone, it's me. I send out a recording and I'm like, hey, I'm so excited to see that your property came off the market, not because it didn't sell, but now because it can get the proper attention that it deserves. If you're still looking to get your house sold, just reply to this text message and we'll talk soon.
I love it. That sounds terrific. Are you getting a response from
Need
that? I
you
mean,
to
that's totally
write
different.
that up, Carrie, and send that out.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, we are recording this, so I will send that
Yep.
out so you can
Oh
get
yeah,
that.
this will get re.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that sounds really awesome. I love it. And Joanna, tell us about your texting. What's going on there?
Wendy she's dropping off FedExing a package to their house. And then I'm doing the follow-up email. Did you get it? It's a little picture of this package. And then also a follow-up text. Did you get it? And then like a week later, a follow-up video text. Did you get it? So obviously we're getting the contacts through white pages. So we're getting some hits back, some wrong numbers, all kinds of different things happen, or I'm not interested or whatever. But she's already had, I believe, 2 or 3 listing appointments in the last few months just by doing that strategy. Landed the listing yet, but we're getting appointments and we're getting action.
Hey,
So
it's all
she's
about
doing the
getting the
package.
appointments, right? Go ahead, Gia.
She's doing the package.
We are
Instead of
FedExing
Fed-
the package to their doorstep. So then that way it's not in the mailbox like junk mail. We just cost how many people just go through their mailbox and just toss the junk. So it's getting right to their doorstep and they have to look at it. They have to open it up. Oh, I got a FedEx package. Everybody opens up their FedEx packages, right? And so that's getting, and we've had calls too. She's had several calls after they received the package. Oh my gosh, this is so impressive. Let's talk more. So we have gotten calls. Then we do get a live phone number. Oh yeah, this one works. So we're getting the interaction with the luxury presentations she's been sending out.
I think that's awesome. Hey, Farrell. Hey, thanks for joining. Oh, wait, she's connecting. But there she is. Hey, Farrell, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Oh, you're on mute. Can't hear you.
How's it going? Long time no.
Good. Yeah, we're talking about expired prospecting here today. I sent out, and in the chat, I think you'll see it, but I can always send you that. It's a whole bunch of expired scripts that I've compiled. And all of you guys don't know Farrell, but she used to work with me at Keller Williams way back when. She's a KW agent. And so anyway, I want to also just share this story with you guys. Hi, Wendy. And so right before I got in the real estate, I was selling a house and moving. And so I got an opportunity. I had in my mind that I wanted to become an agent. But of course, I didn't know anything about selling a house at that point, and I didn't want to do it myself. Anyway, but I interviewed tons of agents. So I got to hear all their listing presentations and all that stuff. I had some really big agents out here in Los Angeles in my living room at my table. And some of them, I can say, I just don't even know how they're getting listings, at least at that point. But so my house expired. And here is my experience with that. Number one, my phone blew up the very next day. I must have got probably 40 calls minimum on my answer machine. I even put it on and said, if you're a real estate agent, just hang up now. We don't want to talk to you. I think most people they're really pissed off, and then they're getting a ton of calls and all that kind of stuff. Now, some things that really stood out in my mind, maybe one agent that actually dropped off a package at my door the very next day. And that was really impressive. In it was like a pre-listing kind of guide and some examples of the brochures that they had for the houses that they sold before. They were very pretty brochures and all that. And that was impressive. That actually got a phone call. But all of these letters that I got, postcards I got, phone calls I got, all got ignored. But they can be really off-putting. So anyway, but that said, it does work. And Farrell knows firsthand because she was in the office with me. And in Keller Williams, we had an agent. His name was Eric. And Eric put together a little team. She's nodding. Put together a little team that was on the phone nonstop. And their number one thing was calling expireds. And they got really damn good at it. In fact, Eric became like in the top 5 agents of all of Keller Williams consistently doing this. So he was just on the phone like a warrior. If he wasn't out at an appointment, he was on the phone. But anyway, so we heard from Carrie, we heard from Joanna about some of the success with expireds. Carrie, can you tell us a little bit about the success that you had getting that appointment?
Yeah, so when I send that video out, I either get no response, or I get a good response, or a not nice response. So I get a variety of that. But my appointment, I work with Heather with Rebelworks. She's an ISA company. So her and her team make calls to my database, and they make calls. I'll upload all my expireds and everything because I pull them from Espresso Agent, but just so everything's in one spot, I upload them to Follow Up Boss. And they actually sent me 3 appointments yesterday, and they're all appointments for today. And yep, so my guy that's an expired, he's at 5:30 my time, and he has a commercial building. It expired, and he's like ready to relist. He wants it sold.
Perfect. That's great.
Yeah.
That's what we all want. So that was your ISA that set that appointment?
Yes.
Okay, great. Some people have ISAs calling them. That's great. If you're doing it yourself, I have a link in there, and these are all kinds of great expired scripts. We can talk about this. I'd love to get you guys feedback on it. But number one, does everyone know where to get the expired data? Sounds like Wendy's going to the MLS and pulling off the new expireds off the MLS and then looking up their
And looking up the
mailing them?
contact. Yeah, because on the MLS, only the agents put their numbers on. They don't put owner numbers on there. So we have to go to white pages and dig.
Okay. So like a service like RedX is going to give you those expireds and the owner name and the owner phone number. So you don't even have to look that up. And that's going to cost you like $50, $60 a month, and you can get those. And for $60, you don't have to do all that blood, sweat, and tears trying to trace.
She pays me to do the blood, sweat, and tears.
There's that. There's also, I love the Mojo dialer, and Mojo has its own thing in it where it just keeps all the current expireds. And if they relist, it takes them off the list. So you're constantly calling only people that are not relisted at that time. And that is actually the system that Eric used to use. And so it's a really terrific system. And then, so anyway, so that's where they get some of the data. Of course, your MLS has it if you just want addresses, and there's all kinds of skip tracing services out there. You can run those lists through. But do you guys want to get into talking about some of these scripts?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, great. So on this, did everyone see the link that I sent out? It has all this? Okay. So first things first, I don't know if everyone's heard of Ricky Carruth. I think a lot of people have. And in there, I have a little video from him making expired calls. But his approach is just get into conversation with them. Hey, how's it going? Talk about the weather if you can. And then he says, hey, I noticed that your house popped off the market. Just wondering what happened with that. And let them start that conversation, then get into it. So his whole script is in here. What do you guys think of that approach? Or actually, first, I should ask you, raise your hand if you've actually made expired phone calls. Okay, 1, 2. Farrell? Is that a yes? Yes? Okay, that's a yes there.
I'm in the
Okay.
car. I'm trying to raise my hand. Sorry about that.
Okay, no worries. Great. Hey, Gia, how about you? Have you made any? You haven't. Okay. So listen, they can be really intimidating. I got to be honest with you. Calling expireds, they're getting tons of phone calls and they're really not all that happy. And I see Farrell raising her hand. Okay, all right.
Can I share a newer script that's been working well? There's one script that's similar. I'll just say it real quick and then I'll let you continue.
Sure.
There's a newer coach named Brendan Mulrennan.
Yeah.
I looked at all the scripts before I got on your call, and he's the same as Ricky Caruth. It's a pattern interrupt. Hey, I'm not sure if now's a good time, but I'd like to tell you the reason for my call, and then you can decide if we should continue or not. Fair enough? And it like interrupts them from saying no. And a lot of times they will let me at least continue conversation before they hang up. And sometimes he also says to say, real quick, don't hang up. I'd like to tell you the reason for my call. And then you can decide if we should continue or not. Fair enough. And it's really.
Yeah. And I think it's the first few seconds on that phone call that sometimes is the hardest. Just to keep them on the phone. And that's the biggest trick.
If I can chime real quick, I
Yes,
have
please.
a great way that when I do make calls myself to keep them on the phone or keep them from hanging up on me when they're like, hello, I'm like, hey, I only got a few minutes. I don't want to take up much of your time. I got to head out the door, but I just wanted to talk to you real quick. And then I go on about why I'm calling. And so when I set that tone, it's like, all right, they're not going to be on the phone with me that long, but they end up staying and talking to me. And then I find out why. Why do you think your property didn't sell? What do you think happened? What would you have liked your agent to done differently? What do you expect from your new agent? Do you mind if I tell you a little about how I market properties? And it gets them.
Yeah. And I think another one that works too, I love that. And I love those questions. And another one that I think works is also along the Brandon script that goes, have you decided absolutely that you're not going to sell your house? Like it's off the market 100%. And usually at that point, they'll say no. And that no is a good yes. That's a trick that you can use and then lead into what Carrie just said, because I think what do you think went wrong? I pretty much have a good idea of the things that need to change to make your house sell on your listing. And we can go over what those things are. Are you going to be home later today, tomorrow? When's a good time for me to stop by? How do you guys get into the close or setting the appointment? What's your trick on that?
For me, I know I'm a talker, sorry. For me, once we have our good little conversation, and if it's an expired, that's what I do. I have Friday at 4 open, and I'm going to be in your area. If it's okay with you, I'll swing by and go over my marketing plan, and we can just chat and see where you're at, what you feel like. And at that point, because I'm not like, I'm going to come over and list. I'm just like, I'm going to come over. You can show me your house. We can just have a conversation and go from there. I just try to keep it really personable and how can I help you instead of let me list your house.
Right. Yeah. Because everyone's asking, hey, when are you going to interview the next agent? I don't think that one works. That one's on this list.
I don't even bring up other agents. I don't care about other agents.
Yeah.
Once I meet them in person, it's mine.
Exactly. So Joanna, how does that follow-up go? So let's say you got someone that texts you back. Then what do you do at that point?
I immediately text them back too. So we've had a few come back saying that they did get it. We'll let when we relist, or even if they say we're not selling right now, you'll just keep us in mind for when you do decide. And then I'm asking them if they want to keep updated on their home value to collect an email, even though I have emails, I don't know if they're accurate. So I'm trying to collect the email too, and then we'll get them into HomeBot and set them up on a market report as well. Something to stay in front of them monthly so they don't forget about us. And then I think we have a whole action plan that sends them out value every month. So they're getting something. We're doing also another mailer thing, which I think is on Tech Tuesday next week that they're going to be talking about, and we're doing that as well. So they're getting something at their doorstep every month.
Right. Yeah. And I think that was one of your mailer.
Yeah, real marketing.
Oh, another
coming
one.
up.
Okay.
So
Right.
yeah, so we're doing that too. So we're trying to keep them, stay in front of them, because we're targeting older expireds. We're doing several new ones. We're doing like 13 a week, so you run out here in Vegas. So and then so we're doing a lot of older ones that goes back like maybe even a year. So there's a reason why they didn't put it back on. Maybe they decided not to sell or whatever the case is. So if we can just stay in front of them, eventually they'll give us a chance.
Right. Yeah. There's a probability that a lot of those old expireds, they're still interesting. There's something, just put the thing on pause for right now.
Yeah.
And
because the market shifted and they want to get what they want or something, who knows? And we've noticed a lot of them too, that they withdrew them before they expired. So they were taking them off even earlier. So it's just whatever situations came up that changed their mind.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that, because in Mojo, it creates a new status. Like they might go withdrawn and then it will expire, and then it updates and goes in the expired list, but you'll see that it was a prior withdrawn, which kind of clues you in a little bit in terms of maybe what's going on, and that they just changed their mind, or right now it's just not the right time for them. Or I think a lot of times their expectations of what they could get, and then maybe they had I have to get this number, and if I don't get this number, I'm not selling.
We did have an appointment with one that we felt was way overpriced, even though she is a flipper. So she moved in, flipped the house, and it looks amazing. But it's like, how do we even come up with these? We don't even know if it would sell for that, but we'll do it, whatever she wants. Give us a shot.
Yeah. And something that I'm noticing in my area, because during the pandemic, we had no expireds, none. And so I gave up on it. And then now I'm getting back into it. One thing that I've noticed with all the expireds, especially in my area, are that the photos are just garbage.
I've seen a lot of that. I'm like, oh my gosh, our package has to be amazing compared to what they've listed it like. And we're targeting 1 million plus expireds. Right. So if you're having horrible pictures and that price point, there's something wrong there.
Yeah, completely. And of course there's always those sellers who are pack rats or whatever. They don't want to clean up, and they're very resistant to all that. So in my mind, when I see like a bunch of junk all over the place, number one, I go like, why didn't you just go with exterior shots and that's it?
Right. Exactly.
That would be much better than showing all their garbage. Anyway, but Betty, we haven't heard from you.
I just joined. Sorry, I'm late.
Yeah, no worries.
So I guess we're talking about expireds.
We're talking about expireds. And so what's your experience with expired?
You know what? That's one area I have not really targeted. And especially with the market, the way it's been going, and more people are talking about it. That's one thing I'm like looking into. So yeah, expireds, and what else is there?
Pre-foreclosures, expireds,
yeah.
Divorce, which I really want to start getting into.
And then I don't know if you heard the latest stats. There's a lot of, I think, who mentioned that we had that on Tech Tuesday when they were doing that demo on mailing service?
Mailbox power.
Mailbox
power.
Yeah. And when he did that, he talked about how right now it's like an older population that are moving because they could afford to move. So I've always been targeting seniors. So I think that's more so. And then also I think on Lab Coat Agents, they posted how I think more than 34% buyers were cash buyers. So anyway, not that they were all seniors, but that's one of the things that seniors, when they do move, because they have such a high equity in their home that they're selling and buying, a lot of times, I work with a lot of seniors, and a lot of the purchases they're buying cash because they have so much equity in their homes. So anyway, so I
Yeah.
think there's some correlation to why there's so many cash buyers. And also I think people are saying that interest rates are so high, they're cashing in on their investment to buy these homes cash. So anyway,
Right.
that's my take.
Downsizers and things like that. And of
Yeah.
course, all of that overlaps with expireds, because you can have the reasons that people sell. You get the whole gamut, even in the expireds, of course. And
Yeah.
one stat that I saw recently that I was really surprised about, that I didn't realize was so huge, but it was something like about 40% of sellers are moving or relocating to be closer to family and friends,
Exactly. Yeah.
which I was very surprised about. I didn't realize that was such a big number.
Yeah.
But of course, like divorce, move closer to family and friends, and then the older population who are selling, maybe downsizing at the same time, but moving closer to family. If I think back to some of my listings, I've had a lot of those recently.
Especially because a lot of younger kids, they can't afford it. So they're moving in with their mom, or they're building ADUs. ADUs are so popular right now. And so they're doing all these multi-generational living situation now too. Yeah.
I want to bring it back to expireds, because
Sorry about that. So we got on a tangent here.
what we're talking about here today. But as that pertains to expireds, a lot of the questions that were in these scripts that I sent you guys, there are questions that ask, just getting down to the motivation, to really understand the motivation, because maybe they took the listing, they let it expire because they weren't getting the price they wanted or whatever their objective was, and then now they're still wanting to move, but maybe they're just like, I'm not in a big rush. Because who's heard that one before?
Many times.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I'll give you a case in point. Just recently, I had a conversation with one of my past clients. And so she bought, like, a little less than 2 years ago. This would be a case, like, potential be expired listing. I know you see it, but anyway, so she bought a couple years ago, and then she put so much money into it, so much money. And she wants to move. She doesn't like because she bought it's a townhome. She's having like the HOA is having so much issues that she just wants out before it gets really bad. So she basically wants everything she put into it and then some. And she asked me if I would take the listing. I said, I would normally won't take the listing, but this market is so crazy and there's not enough low inventory. I said, sure, why not? But same thing. So just like what Joanna was saying, some of these expireds, the homeowners have such a high expectations, especially with the market, low inventory, they getting all these info. So they're like, let's test the market and see what it does. So basically I told her, yeah, I would agree, but I would just do it for X amount of days and then see where it goes. So
there's definitely a debate of whether or not you take a listing or turn down a listing.
Yeah.
Right?
What do you do? Yeah.
And I know there's some people of the argument that you should take the listing and then work on them to come to Jesus and really get it sold. But at least at that point, you're going to understand their motivation. You're going to be able to coach them a little bit. And if you really want to sell it, I'm sorry, the price has to be 50,000 less.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I want to keep these to about a half hour because I don't want to make it too long. I know everyone's busy and we got calls to make. Hey, I want to thank you all for joining us this week. Did anyone get any value out of this?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The
Well,
great
listen.
mastermind.
Listen, I have these scripts out there. I put it in the chat. I'm going to hit it in the chat one more time. Get a download of that, copy that script, click on it. So you have those scripts available. And for those starting out, Gia, you're going to get a lot of no's, but you're talking to a lot of people that want to sell. And maybe it's not right now, but maybe it might be in the future or soon future.
So I came into this convo in the late. So what is do you hit expires like right away, or there's certain, are you hitting expires after 6 months or a year?
That's a great question for the group here. My personal opinion is they're all good.
But the one that's recently expired, don't you think that all the agents are attacking them?
Yes, they're all getting attacked. So you need to attack them too. Have a good strategy. Choose from one of these scripts that you test out these different I mean,
Yeah.
try one each day and see which one seems to jive the most with you.
Yeah.
And which one you have the most luck with and what the approach is. And it's really that first 5 seconds on the phone. And I think Carrie threw out some good openers to that. And that's where you're going to start that conversation. Ultimately is, and I see someone saying, and drop something off. I agree 1,000% with that, because I got to tell you, most of the people, my personal experience with being an expired listing, I got tons of calls. I didn't answer my phone. But the people that dropped shit off at my door, and there's only like 1 or 2, they got my attention. And somebody that drops a nice package off at my door, and let me tell you, the good package got a phone call. And the other thing that you want to do is take all this expired data, all those names, numbers, and all that, create a custom group audience in your Facebook and do some retargeting. So I hope this was helpful for everyone and useful.
Yes.
Yay. Go get them.
All right.
Get them.
Have a good day.
Talk to you next
Bye.
week. Bye now.